You're listening to the Discussing the Resilient podcast, hosted by Aiden Smalley and William Reid, a competitive 40k podcast for the servants of Nurgle and the fallen 14th Legion. Tactics, meta-analysis, and all things Death Guard. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Discussing the Resilient podcast. The first one of 2024, so I'd like to start by wishing everyone a happy new year and a good Christmas. Obviously there's been some live streams and stuff between now and then, but this is the first time we've got together and done a proper podcast episode. We've missed it in the intro, but we also want to introduce the third circle of Nurgle symbol. I don't really know what the best way to describe it is, but we've got Death Guard Dave as a full-time member of the podcast now, so people have been enjoying the content with Dave. We thought we'd bring him on. Obviously the channel's grown much quicker than me and they never thought, and I think it makes sense to get a third person involved to sort of keep the content flowing. So without further ado, Dave, not that you need much introduction, but say hello, I guess.
Hey guys, and happy new year. Just to echo that, really pleased to be on board, though Will did just make it sound like the channel's got really busy, so we need someone else to do some work, as opposed to you really want me here. So well,
that's it, we've got to have a skivvy. Someone's got to make the tea. no, obviously the content you've done on the live's just been amazing, and I think it shows in the comments and stuff, and I think it's probably through popular demand. I think probably be a better way to put it.
Really pleased to be here, and like I said, it's been fun being on the streams, and just you guys have done a great job of building something that the Death Guard community can get behind in a positive way, and pleased to be a part.
Oh, nice one. And obviously we've got Aiden here as well, so we have the trio tonight. So Aiden, I guess say hello.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode. I'm doing pretty good. Welcome to Dave for coming on a bit more permanent, a bit more full time in regards to the channel. Like Will said, basically just had a good back and forth on the streams and whatnot, and the comments were really good and positive, and people wanted a bit more Death Guard Dave. And again, he's like me and you, Will. He's a Death Guard sort of like purist at heart, so it made sense in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great addition, and just going into this episode. Obviously we've done a lot of content recently about sort of my Aiden's results, and Dave, obviously, I'm sure there'll be a solo series that you might be able to come up with as well, so we can look at rolling something out there too. But this episode we know there's a balanced Dataslate coming. Obviously GW have announced it's going to be in January. I have a suspicion because LVO, Las Vegas Open, absolutely, and GW, they're kind of in bed with each other now, aren't they? So I feel they're probably going to give them a break and release it maybe on LVO weekend, so it passes all the FA, gets past their sort of list cut off and stuff without causing any problems. But we thought this episode we'd do some predictions, bit of wish listing, bit of realistic stuff that we think actually might happen, mainly with Death Guard in mind, but also maybe sort of talking about some of the other factions that are a bit problematic or underpowered in the meta, and then talk about how that's going to sort of feed into our lists and things that we might change, and also just general Death Guard banter, anything that we can think to talk about. So I don't know, I suppose Dave, you're new around these parts, so why don't you start? What are you wishing for, I guess, is probably the best place to start.
Well, I think just before we get into that, I was just going to back up your point of I was at LVO last year, and with quite a lot of people going out on the plane or chatting beforehand, and some of the Vanguard guys, and it was exactly that problem, right? We were all going, right, the Dataslate's out. Suddenly, is it now? Get back in the FAQ. Is it in time to be changed for the event? What does my list look like? Have I got time to change anything? Like, it was a complete nightmare, and like everyone across the whole event was pretty much the first opponent you played was all talking about how tight that timeline was for that drop. So I am not surprised at all that they've kicked it to the end of January to get the UKTC and LVO events out of the way. I think it makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it kind of.
I think.
I was going to say, it kind of validates the event as well, because we kind of had it a little bit in Nottingham this weekend, because me and Dave both played the Nottingham GT. And it's kind of weird when you play an event, but at the time of playing, half the rules that are in play are no longer going to be in play after this weekend. Like, for example, the Necron Immortals and stuff like that. So kind of, it was a weird thing last year, wasn't it, at LVO? I remember like a lot of the top table lists as of the end of LVO were no longer viable lists because FAQs had come out that changed some of the more problematic combos and stuff. So it does kind of make it just feel a bit weird, really. So hopefully, as we're saying, GW do take it on board. So I guess end of January makes sense.
I think, but just in terms of like the topic for today, I think even more so than changes to us, I think what I'm really wanting to see is some changes to CSM and changes to night spinners. They're just. I was not. I didn't play CSM at this event. I did at LGT and I did at Leicester, but I was fortunate enough to play in, I think it was round 4. I played the classic Eldari triple night spinner, Wraithlaws, Incarn, and I was lucky in that I was playing a guy who I've played before a few times at tournaments, so we get on really, really well. So when I saw his name and I saw the list, I was like, right, this is going to be an exercise of how many points can I score, not can I win the game. And that, I think, is a starting point for anyone walking up to a table. And I'm not saying, I'm by no means the best player in the world. That's Aiden over there. But I know what I'm doing with my army. I know how to give someone a game. And there's most things I walk up to, I go, I can probably have a game into this. I've got an attempt to win this. And that list was like, I can't. I've got to just score as many points as I can. And I got 71 points against it, which I was actually really pleased with. Nice. And but even he at the end was like, I had some Plague Marines on his home objective at the end, and he was like, right, cool, yeah, we'll do it there. And I was like, Ben, it's your turn. You've still got knives, but obviously what you're going to do is you're going to shoot them off with indirect. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I was like, no, mate, we're playing a tournament. Like you are going to win with this list. I'm totally cool with it. And he was like, okay, so obviously just annihilated them with a couple of night spinners. But it was even at the last deaths of the game without those things are just still stopping you scoring and just picking stuff up.
Yeah, I think night spinners. I mean, they just do too much, like a lot of the Eldar stuff, don't they? They're
heavy. Dev wounds, indirect, two damage, high strength. It's like it just does. And then twin linked and the movement. No advance, -2 move, -2 charge. Like it's the complete package.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how many points is a night spinner? Does anyone know?
160.
Oh, yeah.
And it's gone up since, right? With the previous update, it's gone up in points. Now, what's really funny is, Ben, this is what Ben and I were talking about, is that when the Wraith Knight problem was on our tables at the start of 10th, the Night Spinners were still doing what they're doing now, but proportionately, it just didn't look as bad, so no one noticed, because the Wraith Knight was so horrible. And then they took the Wraith Knight out and left the Night Spinner doing what it's doing. And that's where we are. That's where we are now. And we didn't actually understand how egregious it was, even in its old world.
Yeah, that's a very fair point, actually. I suppose you forget, don't you? I mean, the CSM thing's the same as the cursed cultists have always been there with these rules. I felt there was maybe a bit of hobby lag with them because they were sort of quite sort of the new models for the book. But yeah, I mean, they've been oppressive now. People have obviously got them painted up and had the time to put them on the table. I mean, you had a horrible match in them, didn't you, Aiden? Was that the one you played at the last GT where was Will Whitaker you played, wasn't you? Just said there was no, you didn't think there was any way that you could kill them.
Oh, that was the cursed cultist with Will Whitaker. That was, yeah, they weren't fun. But no, they weren't the Night Spinners, they was the cursed. Which is another problem that I'm hoping personally gets addressed. Because I agree with Dave. I think overall, like, armies I'd like to see brought down, it's obviously Eldar, like Night Spinners are just stupid. I'd like to see Wraiths as well not being able to use Phantasm. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm fine with units that are like, I'm fine with Eldar being tricksy and agile, and units like, Aspect Warriors and the
exactly,
agile
Aspect Warriors. Yeah.
Being able to Phantasm makes sense, because if you do get caught out, they genuinely die. But you have this Wraithblade unit that's already hard enough to kill, and then it's just also impossible to interact with as well, and it's just too much. So that's what I like to see for Eldar. I mean, points, Eldar are in a weird place. The stats on the data sheets are just way too good for the points. Well, not for the points anymore, but you can't make the army cheaper. I'd like to see more models on the board for Eldar, but they're just too strong as like profiles that you can't make them cheaper. Otherwise, you'll go back to square one of them being a problem.
Yeah. And I think the other issue I had, well, not in the game, but Ben was also running 2 characters. So Fugan and another one. And so he had 2 characters that could stand back up on a 2. So once you're playing engage, and they throw that character turn 4 into your deployment zone or across the board, and then you kill it, and at the end of the turn it stands back up again. Then they've just got models that can score. It's a bit like having a spore mine, right? Except it just regenerates.
Which is one of them's brutal as well. Is it Fugan the one that's the fire dragon or whatever?
He's got like a pistol that's like can pick up a tank pretty much.
Yeah, and then he's flat 3 damage in combat for some reason as well, isn't he? Like,
yeah, and his gun's like flat 6 with melter 6 or something stupid.
Yeah, like why? Yeah, I mean, the problem with the Eldar Index is it's just everything. You just look at things like and you say, why? Like, why does that character have that when like no other character, to my knowledge, in the game is that sort of like egregious with its output. I can't think of another character that just looks at a sort of, like a tank. Say like anything with 12 wounds and no invuln, just looks at it and just goes, fate dice dead.
Hellbrute's gone. A rhino's going to be disappeared. It's just there. But I know we're kind of going down the different units in there. But I just think the problem for me, the big problem with the Night Spinner is that it's good into everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's nothing it doesn't really hurt with the re-rolls. Like it's just it's an absolute monster.
The thing is as well, it has no whiff turn, because you shoot a unit, even if, let's say, you get really unlucky and you don't get a single death wound and they pass all the saves, at worst you're still giving them no advance -2 move. At worst.
That on its own's worth it, isn't it, really, sometimes? I mean, sometimes they only shoot units just for the movement. They're not even bothered about damage. Obviously we've got rhinos and things to sort of like put a sort of a shell on our plague marines, but they'll shoot something like plague marines. It's also why Blight Lords, which is probably something that might segue nice into the Death Guard side, is also why they're just not viable on so many missions. To shoot them, move, 2-inch move, and it's like, I don't need to kill them, don't need to worry about the damage, they're just standing still. It's stuff like that. It's just a bit egregious, I suppose. It's just kind of like you can't even play around it because it's out of line of sight. You can't even play the sort of like, the angles game with them. And it's just a bit oppressive, isn't it, really? But I mean, I suppose you mentioned Blight Lords there. I mean, what are some Death Guard units that people are sort of hoping to get buffed? Because
just to hold the barrel on the Death Guard one, because I think what we'll do is we'll cover the external armies and then we can just focus pure on Death Guard. We'll just keep it like it just keeps in 2 sections.
We come back to those ones.
That's fair.
In order for like the other army, obviously that needs touching is probably going to be CSM. Like CSM is a bit daft at the moment. And the question is, what do I actually want to see nerfed to it? Because it's a weird army to nerf because of how it interacts. The mark system is kind of problematic for balancing because they're just so powerful. And it's stuff like you can't nerf something because it has disproportional effects. So, for example, if you were to like nerf, like I don't know, a Forge Fiend or whatnot, the nerf Forge Fiend of a Nurgle mark compared to like this, an undivided mark isn't the same. So you either have to point it into oblivion, or we go for like the specific mark bonuses. Like one thing I personally hate, and I don't know about you guys, and I wish it would go away. I hate any rule that's like a stratagem that lone up something. Lone up is the most uninteractive, unfun mechanic in the game. If it was lone up 18, there's a little bit more play in it. But the fact it's lone up 12, a Forge Fiend can stand in the open on a firing lane,
and you can't touch it.
You can't touch it, and you can't ever move into that area because it just kills you. Because it has such absurd damage output. I had to play against Necrons, who've also now just got given a lone up strat. It's not as bad because don't get me wrong, a Doomstalker isn't as hard hitting as a Forge Fiend, but it's still just so. It's just any rule that just says to your opponent, "No, you can't do anything."
Yeah,
it's so
whatever
miserable.
You've got in your book, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I hope that maybe goes to like 2 CP. I would, because then that actually becomes like an expense that you have to consider. But also we need to look at like Profane Zeal, like 1 command point, reroll all hits and wounds just shouldn't be a thing.
I think the Profane Zeal on its own, it's a problem, but the strat itself isn't the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the Chaos Lords letting you use it for free. So you can attach them to Chosen, then like all 3 Chosen squads in a turn get to use it plus the CP you spend. So you get it 4 times in a turn if you play for it to happen.
Well, on that point, do you know what I would actually not be unhappy to see in the game is no free strats.
I genuinely agree. I mean, that's not just because we don't have.
No. I would be happy to see no free strats in the game.
Do you know what? I wouldn't even mind if strat generation was increased in general. Like you start the game, like we used to start the game with CP. Because the problem is at the moment, like I feel like a lot of armies have a strat that they basically have to use every turn. So for Marines, it's like Armor of Contempt.
Yep.
So they don't really have 10 CP over a game. They have 5 to do cool things with, because you have 5 go Armor of Contempt. And I wouldn't mind losing free strats if people got more CP to play with. But I agree, I'm not a huge fan of free strats, because you just sit there in your back pocket and go, oh, I've got a free strat and I can use it. Or even just get rid of the you can use it if it's already been used caveat, then it's not as bad.
Or just once per game. If any free strats said once per game, at least it's there, but you can play around it. You know at some point it's going to be popped, and once it's popped, it's gone. So at least there's some kind of like control and kind of like some player skill in knowing when to do it, when not to do it. Like an old player calling a war, it only happens once, so you've got to do it at the right time. Don't squander it.
You could link it back to a you could connect that free strat play, like you just said, Will, that maybe once a game use, but you tie it to a more of an epic character. Like, so you've got to pay to put that model on the table that gives you that result, not just a lord that costs you 60 points.
Yeah, I agree. That'd also be pretty cool. I think, so just to sort of wrap up like the external things, because obviously people don't really listen to this for all the external, and I think it's fairly obvious we're going to see changes to CSM and Eldar. I'd also like to see some changes to World Eaters, because I think that, but the problem with World Eaters is they're just toxically designed, but that's a rant I'll go into a different day.
But that's the same with Tau, isn't it?
But yeah, that's the problem though, isn't it, Dave? That's like, it's such a different army if it goes first.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll go on to that a different day when I've run out of content and need a rant.
But how about some things that you'd like to see some positives happen to a few armies? Who needs some help?
As much Demons. As I absolutely hate to see it, Demons is a good choice, but as much as I hate to say it, because I'm a personal like knight hater. I despise knights of all forms. Imperial Knights, I think, just need to get given bondsmen back. I think that'd fix most of their issues. As much as I hate it.
I don't think it's bondsmen they need. I think the big knights need to be cheaper, personally. Like, I think that's maybe the issue. I think maybe also their armigers should come down in points a little bit. Like, because if you compare them to a war dog, you just don't get the same amount. You just don't get the same value for your points as you do in like the Chaos Knight specific armigers. So I mean, because I thought the bondsmen were a bit egregious sometimes, and the big knight had it as well. It definitely felt a bit hard to play into sometimes, especially if they managed to kill your warlord. Then all of a sudden your knights have got a 5-up feel no pain, which I know they get anyway. But obviously the bond, like, they don't need the bondsmen to do that. But the bondsmen just sort of added to that sort of. But there was times if knights got to level up, they just felt a bit like oppressive. I felt like even without towering kind of added to that. But it's still just a stat check army that if your list can't answer the stat, you just get steamrolled sometimes.
That's kind of why I don't like the army in general anyway, to be fair with you. But I think I do agree with you. I think one thing we can all agree on with knights is towering can stay dead.
100%. Yeah, no one's calling for Tyrant to come back. Fucking hell. I mean,
that's like the rule that time forgot now, isn't it? When did you ever hear anyone mention that in the last?
I know. So I think we've also got post-traumatic stress disorder from the Wraith Knight, haven't we?
I think so. I mean, who else kind of needs some help on some stuff? Yeah, I know. Well, but all of them, right? I think Harlequins, might need a bit of love as well. To be honest,
Custodians as well.
They're still fast and they are competitive, but they can be if we're in the hands of a really good player. But I'm just increasingly rarely seeing them out there now.
Yeah,
I think you don't see Harlequins for the same reason you don't see Dark Eldar. Most Eldari players seem to play Harlequins, Dark Eldar, and Eldar, and just bounce between the strongest one. Like everyone I know that was smashing it at the start of 9th when Dark Eldar were oppressive, just pivoted to Eldar as soon as the book dropped. They already had the models on the shelf. So I feel like Harlequins, they just don't see play because Eldar are so busted. I feel like if Eldar come down, then maybe Harlequins will come out more. But you might be right, they might still need some love. I'd be honest, I know you played them at the weekend, Dave, but I haven't played Harlequins at all this edition, so I've no idea.
Did you play them again, Dave?
Yeah, again.
You keep running to Harlequins.
I do.
Did it go the same way?
No, it wasn't quite as brutal this time, but
Okay.
but yeah, they did win the game though. But it was yeah, they were. I had one less big tank on the table, but yeah, I just think it just felt like they weren't really apart from doing a couple of the Eldari kind of the core rules, there wasn't anything that felt like they had super flavor.
Yeah.
Is I guess where I'm coming from with it. So yeah, I mean, I thought that was the only one. They were the only couple I really noted down as saying I think they need help. I think NIDS Marines have all had new rules recently, so that all needs to kind of be where it is probably. Votan, GSC, they seem to have disappeared off the tables again a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of them have disappeared because they're just beaty. Like some of the stuff that's busted, like GSC for example. I'm trying to pick my words carefully in case anyone here plays GSC. But is it just the meta players who play them? Yeah, like is it only the meta chasing players who play them? Like you only ever play GSC players when they're good, and the same person who had GSC at that event, the next event it's got whatever. Like they've got Eldar, the next time it's Eldar's good. Like I don't know if you know what I mean, but like I feel like GSC players, maybe it's with the exception of a handful of people who I'm sure maybe it's just our local meta, but the only guys who bring them out when they're like a little bit busted, then you just never see them.
If you come across a good GSC player, even in the nerfed state, they're still a great force. They have all the tricks they need to be good. It's just one of those where it's so niche because it's not a mega popular army. It was popular because it was broken. Well, it was pretty broken.
Yeah, see, I feel they just sell models when they're busted, and the meta players just buy them to win games, and then when they stop winning games, just go back on the shelf until they cycle back round in the meta. But like I say, that's probably a very negative way to think about the faction. I'm sure there's some die-hard players out there who are screaming at the screaming at the screen right now. But I mean, what about Custodes? Like, I think Custodes just need a forward feel no pain against dev wounds, and I think maybe a few things need to come down, like the bikes and stuff. But I think nothing else apart from that, because I think they're already good. It's just the problem is when they come into armies that have dev wounds, they just melt. Like, I think that's a problem. I think if they get protection against dev wounds, I think they're comfortably B tier, in my opinion at least, anyway.
Okay, so I'll just caveat this. As someone that played, in about 2 tournaments, played about 8 rounds against Custodes, they can take their whinging and they can shove it up their golden, shiny armor. No, I'm only messing. No, I get it. Dev wounds is absolutely crippling to the army. And they definitely need the feel of pain. I don't think they need 10-man squads back. I think that's when it gets obnoxious with the strat efficiency. You're right, I think a few things could come down in points, but I don't think the army's terrible. I think it's just, like you said, how easy dev wounds picks them up is the main issue.
I'd argue that dev wounds picks up everything.
Yeah, admittedly true.
We get annihilated by dev wounds and mortal wounds.
True, but we have cheap flakery.
But we do have lots of cheap stuff. We do. That's very true.
Yeah. So,
last thing which will actually segue quite nicely that I think I would like to see, and it's kind of a change I'm kind of concerned about, and this is going to be an interesting talking point. Indirect in general, I think still need to change, because every time I make a list, and one of my worries is that rhinos are going to cop a nerf at the moment because they're in almost every marine list.
Yeah.
But rhinos are a complete necessity because of things like night spinners. Even PBCs are grim for it, because if you don't bring them, you're not going anywhere and you're going to die, because indirect is not it's not weak, it's really strong. Like you can't be having 3-inch moving plague marines, you can't be having chosen getting shot by dev wound twin night spinners. Even playbook scrolls will pick up chosen outside of rhinos. And my concern is that rhinos are going to cop a nerf and go up to some 90 points or 85, when really the issue is the fact that you're kind of forced. Don't worry, they're good inclusions and I would still take them, but it's not even a question of do I want rhinos at the moment, it's a question of no, you need rhinos at the moment.
I think with rhinos, I think if anything they should come down 5 points, and I think the problem with rhinos is the contents, isn't it? I mean, when you look at Chosen being a prime example, Chosen are way too cheap. Chosen they're 100, they're 110 points or 120. They should be 140, I think, and then that sort of fixes the rhino problem in itself. I think it's a contents, and and I'm going to say some controversial stuff when we get to our army, because I think Plague Marines are too cheap, if I'm honest. I think Plague Marines should go to 90 points. And I think it's not that the Rhinos are a problem, it's the contents. I don't know. We can have the round table Plague Marine discussion when we get to that point, because, like I say, we've got chat. I just saw Dave's face says not a chance.
I'm not laughing because of that. It's just something Aiden said. So I didn't take Plague Burst Crawlers to this event. I didn't even take one. And I went through it too, but I mean, I had my arm the way my matches went, but I did at times go, I could really do with some indirect fire right now. But equally, I had games where I suddenly went, I'm so glad I've got those Deshal Terminators on the table right now.
Yeah.
It was, I could have, I don't think even a couple of Plague Burst Crawlers would have changed my Eldari game. So that's what that is. Definitely in the mirror match, because I played a mirror match Death Guard for the first time ever in my tournament career, and the reason he won that game was that he had fight first in every Marine squad. So that kind of limps into what Will was saying, was that he was able to put a lot of those on the table, and my Marine squads, which were tooled up more melee, obviously couldn't get to fight first at all. And actually on one occasion I just totally I was thinking about my list, and I went into charged into one of his groups and absolutely forgot he had fight first and lost the entire 10-man squad.
No.
I guess that kind of might segue that way. But yeah, I mean, I played the event with no Morty, no PBZs, like slowly edging stuff out to try other things, and kind of still went with the tanks and then some Terminators and 2 lots of Marines.
I've never enjoyed 3 PBCs. It just doesn't. It just feels like nothing to me.
I built a list today, just go back into it, going like, right, post tournament, where's my brain at? And I was like, I want to put 3 PBCs back in.
So if we were to talk about because GW now, it's hard because when we looked at last Meta Watch, Death Guard are sitting at the 50% win rate, which is perfect basically. But if we are going to get any changes, they did say they're going to try and focus on internal balancing, so trying to make choices not so auto-taking books, or some less taken units more appealing. So what could we, as a roundtable, if we could just spew out a couple of units now, what would we say, if you were a GW rules designer or whatnot, and you looked at it, what would be the auto-take units you'd look at trying to maybe less auto-take? I think the first one probably is the Plague Burst Crawler. Yep,
I disagree.
Yeah. I think I actually think the Plague Burst Crawler's fine, though. I don't think it's the points. If anything, if it went up, I think you'd still see 3 with people begrudge. It's just because it does a unique thing. It just provides something that you can't get anywhere else. If it went to 200 points, maybe you wouldn't see 3, maybe you'd see 2. Yeah. But
I don't know. At that point. 200 points is too much. Too programs.
But the thing is, I think if you look at this, is something we touched on before in various chats, is that you can take, we'll look at your list, right, at Nottingham, look at my list at Nottingham, right, totally different. And we both went 3 and 2 at the event, and I saw at one point, I was in my last game, the guy I was playing, I had Will to my right playing Death Guard. I had a Death Guard mirror match to my left. I was playing Death Guard, and the guy behind me was playing Death Guard. So my opponent was surrounded, and everyone had different lists, but the core in all of those was obviously there was quite a few Plague Marines on tables and quite a few Rhinos. And I think that's the almost the auto take, right? For us, as whether you did what I did, which was take 2 and put 2 10-man in it, or whether you took 3 and put 6 5-man in it, or whatever. Those 2 things for me are the must takes still in our list.
But they were the must takes in the last edition, I think it's in many ways, maybe it's sad that the Rhinos are must take with the Plague Marines, because that's not kind of how you'd imagine them. But I think Plague Marine's been a must take kind of is Death Guard identity, so I quite like that. But I just, going back to my point before, I think 80 points is too cheap for a Plague Marine. I just think they do too much. I also feel, because I've seen some people moaning that Death Guard are too much, I also think, because if everyone's still going to take 30, because 90 points is still a sweet spot for them. I think they're still cheap enough, but that 60 points damages so many lists, because all of a sudden like take Liam VSL's list. Liam VSL, of course, being someone who's brought Death Guard to the sort of to the top tables in terms of like the meta game, and all the other top players kind of looking at each other a bit. Obviously, Aiden's in that conversation as well, but he's kind of come from nowhere with that list. If you add 60 points in that list, all of a sudden it just stops working because he has to take out a tool. Every tool is perfectly placed. Any one thing that goes, it stops working, because you could go, stop the Nurglings. As soon as you drop the Nurglings, the list stop functioning. I'll drop a Rhino, same before, the value of Rhinos, it kind of, and so on and so on and so on. Or I'll drop a Plague Burst Core and I'll swap it for something else, like maybe it's a bloke drone again, you lose your indirect. I think if anything happens to Death Guard, if people are on the too hoardy, I think that one change to Plague means that 60 points doesn't sound a lot, but I think because the lists are all kind of so, every tool kind of matters, you have to lose something. I think that would actually be a fair way to do it, if that makes sense, without sort of damaging the faction. Sorry.
No. It's a really good point. But I guess going to Aiden's point, though, right? Death Guard's got that, and it's at 50% win rate. Yeah, I mean, really, Death Guard are fine. I don't think Death Guard need any touches. It's just, if they did any points increases, I think it's only Plague Marines. Typhus, should be 115. He is too cheap at 100, which is why I don't run him, because I think he's going to get nerfed. And possibly Plague Burst Cores. Everything else is fine, I think.
I can see.
And even then, I think those three things are probably fine.
Yeah.
Oh, Biodisputify, did you say?
Yeah, because I think they'll put like 5 or 10 points in that thing. I just don't think they like the idea of us running 3. I think that'd be fine. I'll just drop it to 2. I could be like that. That wouldn't break the list. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, have the ability to put like 3 strong units of fight first and lethals on 5s and 6s is very nasty. And if you've got the models to do it, that's a real problem for most things on the table. So yeah, don't disagree with that. I mean, I think what I would like to see is, so in 9th, when I was playing 9th for the back half of it, Poxwalkers were a mainstay in my list.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have a reason to bring them back.
I think Poxwalkers are already viable, if I'm honest. I think the problem with Poxwalkers is the same reason that we had them before. It's there's too much move 4. Like, I thought, if anything, they would give Poxwalkers an extra inch move. As soon as you make Poxwalkers 5-inch move, I think they're in the conversation. But
that's why I'm not taking them right now.
Yeah, I suppose
they don't move far enough. Like, I'm already still like grumbling about the fact that our Terminator is a 4-inch move. Like, I think that's a bad enough thing. Like, you have to play to position them so well and drop them at the right time to get the most use out of them. But yeah, Poxwalkers at 4-inch move is just like
just make a 9-inch charge, Dave. It's easy.
I do. Well, that's what I do regularly. Ask a lot of my opponents at the event. But I used to love having those guys, like putting them in the list, and I'd even, maybe even, not that it'll happen in the points update, but I'd even like to see maybe one of the old Terminus S strats come back to be used, so that a Poxwalker block became something that you could get in someone's face or storm a point with just once, or make that once a gameplay.
I think Terminus S will come back in the Codex. I have a feeling that's going to be one of the...
I agree.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, if anything, I think it'll be lazy rules writing from GW. They'll just literally import Terminus S back into the new book. That's classic GW all over that one, isn't it? Like, so...
we brought out New Coke and you didn't like it, so here's Coke Classic.
Oh, yeah. On topic of things, though, that might get nerfed in that book and have the most impact on players, and this is the interesting... I think, actually... the things that are most likely to get nerfed and have an impact on a lot of people's lists is going to be the allies, actually. I think we're going to see Nurglings and Brigands go up.
I also think Carnivores need to go up. I think no one takes Carnivores because you can't take 6 Knights, but Carnivores shouldn't be 140, is my honest...
But I think Brigands are the most people just go in triple Brigand. And to be honest, if you take triple Brigand at the moment and they do get nerfed,
I think Brigands, if I'm honest, I think because Chaos Knights rely on them so much, 170 feels a bit much for them. I think 165 is what they'll go to if Brigands go up. I don't think they'll change it.
Dealing with like 13 War Dogs on a table.
I hate
list.
it.
I've run into that list so many times, and that's what sparked the whole like, what do we do in a vehicle bit? And that's what got me into taking so many tanks to events. And then when I did take a load of tanks to events, I shot them off the table. But I'm like, but then that's such a skewed list that the average Death Guard player, that's the only way to get anti-tank.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be a thing. We shouldn't be forced to do that.
Honestly, I'm just sick of people asking me why I don't take brigands. So, I mean, I would happily see brigands. I hate War Dog spam as much as Dave. I would happily see brigands get nerfed. I'll be more sad about the Nurglings because I think they're probably going to go up. They only need to go up probably 5 points each because they are just objective things. But 15 points, I could find him a list as torpedo enhancement. That's not too bad. But I think for a lot of people, because as much as I hate on them and I rag on them, 3 brigands is in a lot of Death Guard players' lists at the moment. And I think if they do go up and they go up maybe like, if they go up 5 points, I think again you won't care. I think if they go up like 10 to 15 though, I
don't think they go up that much because then it kills Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights can't afford to have 10 to 15 on those because they are their battle lines.
I have a counterpoint for that though, Will, about Chaos Knights getting bad because of it. I don't care. It's nice.
Fair and balanced. Because the reality is Chaos Knights are in a similar spot to us. You know, they're 50% in the meta. I know sometimes the games they win, it feels oppressive. But then also because I play a bit of Chaos Knights as well, so I've obviously on the vested interest here. But on the other side, when you lose, you can also get steamrolled when you come up against the counter to your skew. So I think Chaos. I don't think Brigands will go up as much. I do think 5, but I think it should be 165. But I think as soon as you put in 170, I think all of a sudden you're like, ugh. Whereas I also think Carnivores should go up to 150.
I don't disagree with you on that one. And I think on the Nurglings front, the bit that I think is interesting for us with Nurglings, especially, is that they give us something that nothing else can do. Right? We get infiltrate. We get to play homers. In multiple places, right? There's that small unit can get us in the back line. That small unit can infiltrate straight away and block out 9 inches across the middle of the board. It can cleanse if you need it to. It can it's a really great tool that we don't have.
It's the -1 hit in combat as well. It adds up. It does way more than you think.
Yeah, it does loads, and I know that's really that's impressive when we stack it with our other abilities. But I just think that unit. I agree if it goes up. It goes up for everyone. That's fine. But yeah, I think it's one that we don't want to lose out. I hope we don't. There's nothing.
If Nurgling's got 50 points, you'll still take him in Death Guard. I think
that's what I was going to say. I was going to say if Nurglings go up in points, it doesn't become a question of do I take Nurglings now. It becomes a question of okay, what am I dropping for Nurglings?
Yeah.
But what I would love to see is Nurglings. Anything Nurgle in Death Guard. Get the Death Guard keyword or something like that. Not necessarily that, but like a better synergy, because Nurgle in Death Guard should just be like if you look at what a Nurgle Demon Prince gets in a Demons list versus our Demon Prince, or if you ally one, right? It should be our patron is Nurgle. Like anything Nurgle that's with us should be a bit better than it kind of just being an ally.
When we get the Codex, I hope they do like what they did. I know it was naff in the World Eaters one because they kind of got Corn Demon Kin back, didn't they? The detachment where they could. I don't understand why they've never done that with Death Guard, because in the fluff in the lore, which obviously doesn't always equate to what happens on the table, but Mortarian's always with demons. Like he seems to be in the lore, he's always surrounded by Plague Bearers instead of Plague Marines. So I always think it's weird that you can't sort of like readily bring demons with Death Guard. You know, even if it is just a fluffy thing that never really gets used, at tournaments. But yeah, I'd second that. I'd like to see that happen. I'm trying to think what else in Death Guard this would be.
I mean, I think I'd like to see Blight Haulers potentially even become a little bit cheaper if they're not going to change the stats. That might maybe take some of them. Like they're only strength 9 on their melter. Like into vehicles, you're still hitting on 5s +1, winning on 4s. I've got 9 of them sitting on the shelf in here, which are at the end of 9th I was playing them in 3s, or bringing 3 individual models, and they've just stopped being useful in my view at the minute. I think they're too expensive at 100 points. So I wouldn't take one of those over a bloat drone.
Would you take them at 80 though? Because if they were 80, I still think I'd have to think about it. It wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, they're busted.
Maybe, yeah. But I think it might be a combo, right? Like the melter might need to be stronger.
160 for 2 is a Plague Bus crawl, and that's actually a discussion at that point.
Yeah.
2 of them is not bad. I just wish the ability also worked on monsters. I'd be a lot happier with it.
Yeah.
Oh God, I haven't even picked up. It didn't work on monsters.
Just vehicles.
I mean, they just need to give Melter like anti-vehicle monster 4+ across the board, because that helps like a lot of armies, to be fair, and just makes Melters viable again. You know, for example, if it, I mean, maybe it's even anti-vehicle 3 up, but I think anti-vehicle 3 up gets a bit too oppressive at that point. So I don't know, but I mean, some of the Death Guard units, because Mephitic Blighthall is a great example of a unit just not seen at all that at different points has been more viable. I mean, what would we like to see from, what are some of the units that we would really like to see buffed? You know, like obviously I mentioned Blightlords before. I mean, what do you think would benefit them? Or
Plague Surgeon. He needs buffing. Sorry, what do you mean? What would we like to see with the Blightlords?
Blightlords or anything else you can think of, really. Just some more units that maybe would like to see on the table that have either been iconic in the past or stuff you've got on the shelf that's just never, you know, it's just collecting dust at the moment, because there's a lot of stuff.
Funny, you said earlier, right, that Plague Marines, right, were a mainstay of 9th. I played most of 9th with Terminators.
Oh, really?
I was running Mortarion, some Plague Burst Crawlers, and 38 Terminators, pretty much. At tournaments, like, then doing pretty good with it, like, but that was when we had 5 inches of movement, when Morty was a beat stick, when, like, so it's a very different world, right? But I just like to see, I just like them to be like, just go back up, like we talked about it from my view anyway on Terminators, just they need to go back up an inch of movement, and there needs to be some kind of access to, I think, whether it's I think they just need the Blightlords just need a better melee profile as well. They're, at the end of the day, right, they're hulking 10,000-year-old cataphracti Terminators with plague encrusted kind of weapons. They shouldn't be going bop, there's 1 damage.
Yeah, that is quite pathetic.
But I'm a particular
really?
Terminator fan.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, because you've run them as well, haven't you? In the big brick of 10, you were doing quite well with that at one point, I remember.
Yeah, last edition, I was doing the 10-man Blightlord brick. But the thing is, this is one. So we'll break this down into realistic changes I'd like to see, and then dreaming changes I'd like to see. Because realistic changes, I think, is just going to be points changes. Me and Fantasyland is going to be like Dataslate changes, which is not going to happen. Sorry, datasheet changes, which probably won't happen until Codex. But Blightlords, I mean, you could probably make them a bit cheaper, but I mean, they're already so cheap. It's kind of daft. The fact that they're not good as when they're as cheap as they are is kind of like upsetting. But yeah, they could come down in points. Plague Surgeon, please God, go to like 40 points or something. Chaos Spawn, I would actually take Chaos Spawn if they were like 50 points or like 45, because they can actually, I would take a unit, because especially in the Chaos Knight matchup, or anything that has like lots of crappy indirect, Nurglings aren't great for homers, but like Chaos Spawn actually are, because, you know, they got the T5, they have a free up saving cover, and they have Feel No Pain, and they heal, which is quite nice. Plus,
aren't they limited to 2?
They are annoying.
See, I think that's the other change they need, is we need to be able to take more in a unit.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good, because then it'd be worth putting chats on them like -1 to hit and stuff.
Yeah, and also just ramming 5 of them into the middle for homers or something, right? Like then they could take the damage.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good actually. That'd be interesting. I'd like to see, like you said, Blight Haulers I think could come down to like 90 at 8. 90 is like giving me pity. I'm probably not going to take it. 80 is going to make me actually consider it. I think Blood Drones are fine at 100. PBC fine. Demon Princes, both varieties need to come down. They're so disappointing. 6 up Feel No Pain, or again, I played at this terrible event you made me all go to. Thanks for that, by the way. It doesn't do anything. It can do something, but it's just so niche. But it's the melee pro. It's just awful. Why is a Demon Prince strength 8? Like they're toughness 11, but strength 8. So 2 Demon Princes slapping each other goes on forever.
I've got like a mental image of that, just like literally with handbags.
That list, Will. What about you? What's your feelings? Some of that stuff.
I agree with all of that. I mean, Aiden makes a valid point. I think it is just going to be points, isn't it? Because if we're going to like sort of do Dataslate stuff, I want the entropy cannon to change that's one of the reasons I don't rate Plague Burst Cross B cannons. In my opinion, are just garbage. More range, more strength. 35-inch range and strength 12. All of a sudden, there's a conversation around them for me. But I mean, Poxwalkers, as you said, Dave. I guess if they went to 45 points for 10, maybe that's fair. Maybe you'd see them more on the table. Maybe if you've got something to keep your backfield and you're really trying to squeeze 5-10 points, maybe it's just something you could swap to them. I don't know really. I mean, I suppose we've kind of covered all the main units.
Are we in Daydream Land now?
Go on then. Is that what we're going to do? We're just going to sort of have like what we'd like to do in an ideal world if we got to infiltrate GW for a day and get access to some rules.
Like, honestly, if I could just make one change to Blight Lords, that would make them like way more playable. Just I know I said it before. Give him OC2.
All the Terminators should be OC2. Like,
yeah, I mean, I can deal with Death Shot being OC1 because they can actually charge a point and kill stuff on it. But if Blight Lords are OC2, it just makes them an actual anvil unit. I'd also rework their ability to something like, if the a lot of armies have things that interact with objectives, I'd change theirs to be like reroll 1s to wound if you shoot at a target on an objective, reroll 1s to hit and wound if you shoot a target on an objective. Sorry, so 1s to wound, not an objective, both hit and wound on an objective. Or maybe like a 6-up feel no pain when the objective, because that was the only instance the Demon Prince's 6-up feel no pain felt important. It was on a 3 wound model. Because obviously you could tank 3 damage shots and stuff. It would give them identity of being, this is the unit that wants to get onto a point and then sit there. So it's got the OC to hold it, it's got the durability or the bit more damage output whilst holding it. But because at the moment, they just don't do anything. Death Shot are better in every single way than them. So they just don't have a purpose, and I don't care if they're cheaper because they're also not tougher because their ability is offensive and Death Shot's ability is far better. -1 to wound versus high strength.
So here's a question then. This is hypothetical, just purely sticking to the Blight Lords thing, because I feel like they are the iconic unit that most people would like to see sort of made playable.
I want to run them.
What with the current data sheet, what points would there have to be for you to realistically consider 10 and feel like they were good? This was the optimal choice. How many points is it?
Dave, what are they at the moment?
I'm just looking right. So what are they? 330 for 10.
So 165.
280. Or is that still too expensive? Is it 250? Or are we looking to even lower?
It's a good. You can take it and you can sit it there, but there's still lots in the game that can. I think, just for the speed of them and everything, it's to even get them there is a problem.
It's just what am I doing with these points? Even if I'm spending 250 on them, what am I not spending 250 on?
Raider. I can't, even then, right? I've got no delivery system, and if anyone's within 9, I can't drop them from deep strike.
Well, my opponent's got infiltrators, great. Now I can't.
If they've got infiltrators, that's that out the window.
I've just got 2 really good things. Keep going with this, but go on, keep going with this. I've got 2 good ones after this.
Because they're so low impact at the moment, no matter what points you put them at, unless they become just stupidly pointed where the stats and just bodies alone and how annoying they are to kill becomes efficient, I just never see myself in a scenario where I would not have just rather spent them points on more Plague Marines.
Yeah, or just park. It's almost more worth move blocking the point with a Rhino or something, which is OC3 for one model, and it's higher toughness. You can smoke screen it, you can
Is Rhino OC3?
2.
Yeah, I thought it was OC2. Yeah, I was oh my god, I think I've robbed myself out of a primary point on the weekend.
I just functionally, I think that at the moment they're not in a place that get that. Even if they were cheaper, I'd still be looking at how do I get them onto that point, because unless you put them onto the only one you could get them onto relatively easily. Well, I say relatively easily. Need a good advanced roll is your natural, but. Then they're no good there, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to. You're not even at 280. You're not spending that many points to put 10.
It'd have to be 100 for 5. I think if they were 100 for 5, I'd put 5 on my backfield, and then I'd just leave them there.
100 for 5. I'm taking 30, mate.
I've got 30 in the cupboard. They're all coming out.
But
that's the point when they hit just stupid stats.
And sorry, before you jump on your other thing, the other thing I wanted to go back on, I was just fishing around in my my Demons Index cards. is about the Demon Princes again, right? So if you look at the Demon Prince of Chaos, right, which you can then choose the alliance for, the Demonic Allegiance, sorry. You've got basically the one with the wings. If you choose the Nurgle one, right, they basically get an extra point of toughness. So the one with wings goes to 10, the one without wings goes to 11. The one without wings has, once per battle at the start of this phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, add 3 to the attack's characteristic of the Hellforged weapons. Okay. Each time this model is selected to fight, select one of the following abilities: lethal hits, precision, or sustained 1. Every time it's selected to fight, right? That's the Chaos version when you just choose Nurgle. The one with wings, sorry, the one without wings, models within 6-inch Legionis Demonica, right? But imagine if it was Death Guard, units within 6 inch of this model that have stealth. And once per battle at the start of any phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, it has a 3-up invulnerable save.
Pretty good.
So, and that's the same, like, model, unit, and that's it. Just not, and that's if you choose Nurgle outside of Death Guard, and Death Guard being a Nurgle patroned faction, and our Demon Princes, whilst they have some okay abilities, are very expensive and don't do. I think those two examples are maybe better.
I agree.
Do you know what?
The ones we've got.
That leads to a good actual. I'll say my two because I think my two. I just thought of them. I thought of a third one actually. We were talking there, but I think we should then maybe move on to the conversation. Do we think GW should go back to standardised so Demon Princes are the same profile across all books? Because it is weird that the same model is different and so different in different ones. But the ones I'll quickly say, because I think they're quite sort of like, they're not big points. It's more just kind of stating the obvious. I think everyone would wish. Land Raiders. I wish they could carry 7 Terminators, so you could put 6 Death Shroud in and a character. I feel like no one's going to question that.
Amen, brother. Preach on.
Defilers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No. All I was going to say was just that would 100% be in my list. I'd be running 2 of them.
Yeah.
But that's an oppressive package.
See, it should be though, shouldn't it? Just for common sense.
Yeah, it's silly that you can't put the max size of Terminators, and they can be led by character, and you can't put that into I agree. I think that's.
And then Defilers. I wish Defilers, the rule wasn't terrain to height. It's just they can move through terrain as if it wasn't there, as long as the base can clear it fully. Like, because they're still on a small base, and then they would become usable. Then I think because that base is so big, I think that's another, just sort of like GW. It would be common sense. And then the third one I just thought of, we talked about movement. I wish we could get, I forget what it's called. Aiden, you'll probably remember this. You're good with names and stuff. The one where you can't modify our move characteristic anymore. Like, I wish that would come back as well.
Advance.
Yeah, I think
is it compared to a Soul Grinder?
Soul Grinder's bigger, actually.
Yeah. So a Defiler's got a smaller footprint, has it?
So the difference is Defiler and the Soul Grinder. The Soul Grinder, I don't know if you've realised this now, because people don't seem to have noticed. If you go on GW's website, they're on a base now, and the base is huge. It's bigger than a Great and Clean One's base. It's like nearly a 7-inch circle. It's massive. But the Defiler isn't on a base, so if you want the model for advantage, you can make it like a crab and put everything long ways, so it's about the same width as a Land Raider. I've seen people do that, which is there's definitely questionable. That's sort of like
the spirit.
It's not the spirit of a Defiler, but if you want to run them, and if you are desperate in that way and kind, you can do it. But really, they should just, because it's a big model, and it's silly that they just can't move through terrain. It's a big crab. You should just be able to move over it, like
scuttle over things. Yeah,
like a Chaos Knight can walk through a wall, so like they should just be able to scuttle over it. So I think they're
I'd take them.
Yeah, I would if they could move over stuff. Maybe they still wouldn't be auto include, but they'd definitely be worth testing. I think you're definitely worth testing, because you get the Lord of Virulence buff out of them as well, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Oh yeah. On that note, just really quickly, Hellbrute, you can go down 10 points or 20 or 15.
Yeah, he could go to 120. I don't know what he is at the moment. He could go down like 50 for me. Is he?
He's 140.
140. He's more than a Predator, Destructor, or Annihilator.
I really like the ability.
110.
I like the ability. I actually really want it. That was another one this weekend. It's the first time in 10th I haven't run a tournament. I haven't run a Hellbrute as well, and I missed it at times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just get like, because the way combat works in 10th, obviously the way they kind of you have to base, and obviously there's jank around it by moving the back models first and things like that to sort of like close the movement so everyone bases, and then the front ones who've got extra move can kind of move in different directions. So you can still do it, but the kings of this edition are single base models that slap in combat, which is why I like the carnivores, which is why obviously, you know, the Necrons, the C'tans are obviously really good at the moment, the Eldar avatars, you know, Abaddon as well. Actually, any sort of single model who doesn't have to worry about that sort of weird jankiness and getting in and not being able to base the models he wants to. And Hellboots have got that going on as well. The damage, they're like Predators, aren't they? The damage output's good. They're just made of paper. Like if they connect and sort of like, you know, especially in combat Hellboot, if it's because it slaps, it's just
really does.
Someone just looks at it funny, or you know, points a last can in this direction and it just falls over.
What is it? Eight wounds?
Something like 8 wounds, no invuln, isn't it? T8, T9.
No yeah. And Will, did you have another one? Did you say? Did you have?
Oh, the other one, I think you were looking for your Defiler, weren't you? The other one was just saying get an expert advance back so you can't modify our move. If we're going to be move 4, that would be the other one to make Night Spinners, you know, doable. Really, I'd rather be 5. I think that's actually better, and then.
No, but I think that rule made absolute sense, and I never met a person, and like I said, you guys have played longer, but I haven't met a player in 9th that ever was upset about that rule.
Yeah, same. Like it made the faction flavourful as well.
I've got one other change I want to see. Are we in a bit more wishful thinking now at this point? Or?
No, I think this is the point where, you know, tell us your wildest dreams, Dave.
Well, no, it's not that. I want Morty back to 7 attacks in melee.
Oh, how did we miss that? Yeah, God, how did we miss?
I want Morty back to 7 attacks. I think he's, I think he could even have a couple more wounds.
I think he could, I think he'd even have 7 attacks and do 2 damage plus d6.
Yeah. I just think he should be. I think he should. I like it. I think the Lantern's fine now. Like it's actually pretty decent. I like his spell fixed is great. I think that works. I just want him to. I'd want him to see actually back to at least 12 inches of movement, because he's got huge, great big wings. He should be. If Magnus or someone else can move more, and they've got wings and they can fly, obviously around things, so should Morty be able to.
I'll second that. I think Morty needs going back to being a bit more of a stick. And also, the good thing with his abilities, what it forces you to choose is either, you know, I am going to send him out and he's going to go and do some damage, or he's going to sit back and not get involved with your army because he's buffing stuff. It's like there is a way that he isn't doing everything all at the same time. I think that's a very good way to put it. I mean, actually, this is some stuff that maybe is very wishful thinking, but I wish we had more reactional ways to play with contagion range. You know, like our 9th we had, I can't remember what the strat was called again, Aiden. Yeah, like something like that, where for 1 CP this unit gets an extra 3 inch.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think some of that would be nice as well. But I mean, there's so much stuff that, I mean, we're in a weird spot. Like we're in a good spot, but we're in a good spot because of points. I think what I pick up from this conversation and other stuff into what I see online, people would be happy to pay more points for a more elite army if the rules justified the points. Because it does feel weird that we're like this sort of this horde. Like everyone I've played against always, if the complaint is just that there's just too much stuff, and it's like it is a bit weird that we just sort of have endless waves of things that just sort of don't seem to stop coming. So I don't know. Yeah, it'd be nice if they just upgraded that. But I mean, you know, maybe sort of touching on what I mentioned before, the demon prints thing. I mean, what would people feel about them standardising data sheets across? Do you think they should go back to that, or do you think it's nice flavour to have CSM, you know, demons and Death Guard and, you know, 1,000 Tons or whatever having different profiles in the demon prints?
I think I'm okay with them being maybe not demon prints, but like I don't lose like plague bolters and like predators and stuff, because it's actually pretty cool and thematic.
Oh, it is.
But yeah, I mean, if a demon prints, I could at least share between the demon version and the normal version, probably. But the problems are always going to be just keywords. The GW seem to really not like cross ally synergy anymore. They used to be fine with it, like in 7th and 8th and onwards, when it was like absolutely bonkers. You had like Epidemius giving like Plague Dust Scrolls, +1 to hit, +1 to wound, +1 to save, all that crazy shit. But they've just seemed to be really cutting back on it. So I don't think it'll happen, but it would be cool to see.
I personally like it, Will. I think it's a good point. I think a Nurgle Demon Prince should do the same thing, whether it's in a Demon's List or it's with us. I'd quite welcome that. But to Aiden's point, if you look at go back to the Blighthauler sheet, I would like not a multi-melter on there. I would like a entropy melter or something, right? Like some kind of Death Guard themed version of it that just builds on the flavor.
Yeah, that's very. Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. I think, because the Blighthauler has always felt a bit weird like that, how it's kind of like the most distinctively Nurgle model that has the most generic guns. Like, I've always thought that was a bit weird. Like how, even the bloat drones have all, everything's
got something, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's just got a melter gun and a rocket launcher. It's always just been a bit like odd, I've thought that. So yeah,
it's the same with the Hellbrute, right? The Hellbrute's got a twin-link las cannon and a missile launcher. It'd be nice if they just themed those even slightly for our Hellbrutes or whatever.
I want to see a new Hauler variant, a Plague Spitter, and a heavy blight launcher. That's my crazy wish list.
Yep. No, it'd be great if those are on our other vehicles. It'd be great if they were kind of interchangeable across that.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, while we're wish listing then, because I feel like we said we'd try and keep it to an hour, so we're probably doing a good point. What would everyone like to see? Let's move past the data sheet and just go pure wishful thinking. When the Codex drops, what new unit would we all like to see? Because I think that's an interesting point. I don't know who wants to start on that.
Heavy Blight Launcher Marine Squad.
Yeah, actually, that might be cool. Yeah,
just because, right? They're just building on the theme that we just talked about. Is that there are Havocs?
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Actually,
because going back to it, right? The only way we've got ranged anti-tank in the army right now are Predators, or allying in Brigands, or bringing a Land Raider.
Yeah,
because yes, we've got entropy cannons, but a 24-inch range.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point, actually, because that's definitely the hole that we need to fill, or entropy cannons just need a whole new written from the ground up. They should be 36 range, strength 12, maybe it's even twin linked. There would be nothing wrong with that at all, I don't think. There's only 2 shots from them. But yeah, I agree with that. That'd be quite a smart thing. What would you have, Aiden, then? Go on, if you could sort of if you could commission GW to make any model of your choosing, what would you have?
Shall I say something really stupid like a Plague Tower?
Like the old epic one, you mean? That massive Titan. It's like a Lord of Skulls with the 3 massive cannons. I remember that. Yeah,
mate, that was so cool. Daft looking, but cool. Actually, I think I do like the suggestion of like a heavy weapon squad would be nice. I don't think we need like a 3rd Terminator variant. I'm trying to think. Doing what? Oh man.
What about Possessed coming back? But how would they have 8-bound, like some kind of not rot bound, which probably would be GW's amazing naming structure. Always original. But something that would be cool, I think, if we had some kind of like Death Guards, like Nurgle Possessed, that sort of.
Okay. No, I got one. Okay. I would like to see a Lord of Poxes, and I would like his ability to be. You can pick an enemy unit within line of sight in the command phase, and you can give that enemy unit the Nurgle's gift ability, so contagions will spread from that.
Oh.
So you basically infect an enemy unit with our contagions, and then everyone around that unit will get infected.
That'd be cool. If maybe
so it's kind of like another Hellbrute, but like a super Hellbrute, because it projects the aura from the enemy unit. So it means like you could see the tank that's sticking out the ruin, put the aura on it, and then boil blight the unit that's actually behind the wall behind it.
That'd be good, but to balance it, you could say that until they pass a battle shock test in the following turn, so every time if they pass a battle shock, they've recovered from it. So it's not just like. Cause I feel like game long abilities are a bit strong.
Yeah, it'd be one turn.
Just for the turn. And then
I thought you meant they got it then the game. Yeah, just for the turn would be fair.
Oh no.
Have you got one, Will?
Possibly the Possessed. I don't know. Either that or
I'd like to Possessed back.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, either that or sort of. Second in Aiden's thing, but doing it more like some kind of like Titanic Death Guard specific model would be quite cool. Like something, like a massive demon engine. I don't know what it would be. Like now Aiden's mentioned the plague thing. I'm just remembering the other model, which is derpy as hell.
Hear me out, Will. Hear me out, Will. Okay. Plague Burst Vindicator.
Isn't that what? How do you mean?
I want like a really massive cannon at short range, or like like Demolisher cannon on a Plague Burst crawler, and then you can have the flamers on the side still, so that your Plague Burst your crawler becomes like your long range bombardment with entropy cannons, and you have this other one with like a short range cannon which does way more damage with the flamers on its side.
Yeah, that'd be good.
The shield in the middle, it could have an opening with a giant cannon coming through the middle.
Well, that'd be quite cool. I mean,
it would actually like look like a battering ram.
I'm surprised we don't just get access to the Vindicator, to be honest. It feels like one of the more Death Guard vehicles out there, because...
I just want a Vindicator, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, the other thing I'd like is some kind of, like, rotting model, like assassin kind of thing that comes up that could come out of the ground, like rise, like claw its way out of the ground or something, and that would be a way of delivering contagion into the back line of an enemy unit, or it's something that's got a lone operative unit, something like that, or equivalent of like a Calidus-y kind of model or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Do you know what I've sort of moved sort of similar to that with Spark? I've always wanted, like, obviously spells don't exist anymore, so warp time's not there, but like maybe it's a strategy the same, but call it like say Nurgle's Garden. Say like the Terminators, whatever you play it on, goes to Nurgle's Garden, and where time moves differently, and for them it's been 2 years, and they reappear on the board the following turn, or like how armies can pick up and come down. So maybe you do at the end of your opponent's turn, you can drop in 9 inches away. But then maybe because it's Nurgle's Garden, you have to like roll a dice, and you have to make sure on a 1 they have to stay off the table for a turn or something because they're lost in Nurgle's Garden for a turn. Like something like that, just to make Death Guard a little bit more mobile, but not mobile in a movement way, in the sort of like, they're teleported into warp and they've teleported back down, like a sort of like a Death Guard Homer. Because I've always thought something like that, even if it's once per game, would just be really good. Then it's kind of, you've got like a bit of movement, because I think I know we're meant to be a slow army, but sometimes we're slow to sort of like ridiculous extents, especially later in the edition when the power sort of creep goes to 11 and everything's made of paper.
Moves. Yeah, I think you might like this. So when 10th launched and there was like basically the apocalypse happened on the internet, in VT we had a discussion where Stephen Box said, right, everybody, I'm going to open a Google Doc and put in your faction and 3 things that could change for it. And one of the things I put in and discussed with some of the team, right, for the Death Guard right back then, was that we would get, because they're prevalent in loads of other armies, that we would get rot dice. And at the start of the get battle round, we'd get to roll dice, and basically, so we'd get like 7 or 14, right? Like you'd get in a 7, whatever it would be.
Oh, yeah.
And what they could only be used for is for, you could replace a dice in a charge or a save, because it supports our Death Guard's ability to be resilient, but also because it's slow, that the charge moves are often where we make ground up and get round stuff, is it helped you kind of like lumber through the oncoming fire and get into combat kind of thing. So it was like a way and they were the only 2 things you could use it for.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah.
That's cool.
So I always used to think Poxwalkers need an advance and charge strat for the same reason, because they're zombies, aren't they, when they sort of smell flesh. Like, you never see zombies in zombie films when they come and attack still lumbering. They lumber until they see food, and then they see food, then they start sprinting. So I always thought...
If we had 28 days later of zombies, that would be good.
Yeah. Poxwalkers that just want to run.
Well, just before we wrap this one up, one thing I will say that's interesting, and pretty much confirms Terminus Est in my opinion, is GW just released an article on the Dark Angels detachments. Raven Wing detachment is one of them. They can advance, fall back and shoot, -1 to hit, strat, +1 to wound versus characters, blah 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 blah. The interesting bit, which is actually relevant to us, is this is the first instance of a detachment giving a unit battle line. So Outriders get the battle line keyword, so can definitely see Terminus Est giving Poxwalkers battle line at some point. So actually, if you are out there with 120 Poxwalkers like me, keep praying, buddy, it's coming.
Poxwalkers being battle line is the other one, actually. Poxwalkers should be battle line. That's correct. Another when these are sort of like with the Land Raider carrying 7 and stuff, that they're so obvious that kind of like you don't think about them. But yeah, why aren't Poxwalkers battle line? That instantly just annoyed me when I saw the first book. But we've kind of just accepted it now, haven't we? There's a lot of these egregious things that we've just taken our stride as resilient Death Guard players.
Also, just another piece of interesting information. It looks like the Divergent Marine chapters are not going to be locked out of normal Space Marine detachments. Like, I was wondering if that was just, a hold off until they got their own book. But this book only has 3 detachments in it, so they'll still have access to the original 6, and then 3 still have 9 to choose from. I am so looking forward to our codex. I just want to see our detachments and our new stuff and different ways to play. It's going to be good.
I hope we do get some new models though, because this is obviously nothing to do with Death Guard, this statement, but I feel like a lot of people agree. The new Dark Angels models are like chef's kiss. They're beautiful. Like,
yeah,
I mean, obviously, I've no interest. Well, I've thought a few times it might be nice to collect a Fallen army just to sort of like, Dark Age, but put Chaos up just as a hobby project. But then I sort of start pricing up, and I'm like, no, I'm not mad. I'm not. When I win the lottery, maybe.
There's a note in the lore that says that at one point Typhus and the Fallen were trying to form a new legion called the Death Angels.
Is that legit?
That's legit. It's in the lore. It's a footnote somewhere. They got basically stopped by Cypher of all people. And the Dark Angels, but yeah, they were trying to form an alliance between. They were trying to go back in time and get the Fallen and bring them back into the 41st millennia and form the Death Angels.
Oh mate, that's like that's like my new favourite bit of lore. I'm gonna have to hunt that out after this because
I find it funny. I always jokingly, whenever I see a Dark Angels player across the table from me, I call them Death Guard Juniors. Because I'm like, you've got the same color scheme, you've got the same palette hand scheme as I have. You've got your plague. You've got a plague flail in there. You're like,
yeah. Do you know what? Like, I don't know what it is because like practically, there's a lot of stuff in the 40k. I mean, in the Warhammer world in general, that's like sort of make believe rule of cool. Practically power armor with cloaks on top seems like the most like stupidest thing that probably just gets in the way, but it looks so cool. Like if we could make Death Plague Marines with robes on, I'd be all over it.
Problem is they just rot away. Like they did have robes on when they started, but
yeah, it's like why do Death Guard, like why does a lot of Death Guards have loincloths? Like what does the loincloth do over their power armor? It's just a bit of fabric that just gets in the way of them moving. But yeah, I suppose it's the classic aesthetic though, isn't it?
We're even covering Death Guard fashion now. This is important. Right?
yeah. How do you paint your loincloths, guys? Come on. So yeah, I suppose we're going up in the weeds of it now. So I mean, has anyone got anything to add then before we wrap things up?
No, just like I said, hope to see some touches to the top armies and raises to the bottom armies. Honestly, if Death Guard don't get anything, I'll be fine with that. But I would like to see some of the worst units go down. I don't really want to see anything go up particularly. But just for anyone listening, probably just like set your expectations realistic. I'll be honest, no data sheet's going to get changed. I highly doubt it. We've already had our buffs last Dataslate. This is not our moment in the sun. Set your expectations quite low.
Wait for the codex.
Yeah, and honestly, if nothing happens, just be happy with that. And also, the one bonus thing, if you are worried and you think, oh, we haven't got a single change, just remember there's one shining example that we get to still enjoy, and that is the Plague Surgeon still being an absolute piece of shit.
Champion. Yeah, just remember, it's a good, like Aiden says, if nothing changes, then you still never have to think about whether to put that guy on a list or not.
Exactly, and that is brain power safe of the game.
Until we get to 5k subscribers and we get to pick Aiden's next list.
Piss off, Will.
Well, I think if that happens, I think we have to write a list for each other.
Well, me and Aiden have told this before. I mean, I don't mind a wacky list, so I feel like you'll write the list. And I go, it's not bad that. Yeah, I'll happily play it. Just keep playing afterwards. I was joking. I feel like because I'm not the same caliber as players, Aiden. But maybe I'll have to if we hit 5k. Maybe I'll wear a mankini to an RTT or something.
Oh God.
Or yeah, maybe I think I joke this in the pod. Maybe we'll go the other way. Maybe I'll start wearing mankinis to tournaments until we get 5k subscribers, so everyone in the hall subscribes.
Oh God.
Force people to follow the channel, whether the Death Guard or not. Just make that guy put his clothes on.
Is there anything you guys want to touch on that's going live on the YouTube channel or anything before we wrap this one?
So
go on, then you go first.
I was just going to say, I've got a series I'm doing now, which is focused mainly on brand new players to the Death Guard, called From Assembly to Annihilation. It's touching on like really, really brand new players, so it's supposed to be like a primer almost for Faction Fundamentals, because Faction Fundamentals kind of assumes you know a fair bit. So it's a bit more deep dive in the rules. This is literally like baby's first. How do I get into Death Guard? What's a good first purchase? The video that's up already touches on basically just like, if the Death Guard's right for you, some general playstyle things, like some myths, like we deal no damage. That is a complete myth. So the second episode of that should be going up soon. That's deep diving the combat patrol box, best ways to expand it, tips and tricks, best way to build the Plague Marine squad in there, etc. And it also has a diagram for all the weapons for Plague Marine, so everyone can understand what's a plasma gun and what's a plague flail. Even though
did you draw the diagram yourself, Aiden? In my head, I really hope that you did draw it yourself.
Terribly drawn. No, it is pictures. Got proper pictures in there. But yeah, I'm sure you guys probably want to do like I imagine Will's probably going to do an episode on his event, maybe, possibly.
I am. There can be Poxwalker Plague Marine. So obviously the Poxwalker Plague Marine, so the way it works is, Aiden and Dave, they talk about, where they've gone really well at events, things that came out that really good for them. I talk about where it went wrong, where I could have done better. And then between the two, if you're doing the good things that they're doing and avoid doing the bad things that I'm doing, you'll become a great player, because you don't make the mistakes and you do the good you make the good decisions. So I'll have another one talk about Nottingham. So, me and Dave both went. I had a 3-2, but I nearly went 4-1 and lost by 4 points to Busted Necrons. And it was
well in that one, mate.
Yeah, it was a great game. I realised in the car on the way home, actually, I hadn't made, because we talked at the end of the cards, and I was like, I couldn't do anything else. The bottom of my turn 4, he made a 10-inch charge to deny me 5 primary, and I lost by 4 points. If he'd have failed that 10-inch charge, I'd have won by a point. So that was a really good weekend. So even though it was only even though it was only 3-2, I was really happy with the result. And there's lots to unpack. I did of course make some howling mistakes as well.
We all do.
Yeah, I hold my hands up. But
people in Discord looking forward to the next episode of Poxwalker Plague Marine. Some people even let me know that you're the favourite part of the podcast, Will.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
but
so
I mean, might be second to Dave now. You never know.
We'll kick them out.
But I mean, we'll talk about it behind the scenes. But Dave, I mean, I think it'd be a good idea if you could come up with some solo content. If you want to do any, of course. If you just want to do
No, I've already said to Aiden, no, I'm going to think on some of that stuff too. I'll definitely put a series together on something.
Like I said, even if it's just like your Nottingham experience, I'm sure people will want to hear it. So yeah, there'll be content coming out, guys. But for now, we'll sort of wrap this up. Again, if you're interested in becoming a member, feel free to click the join button, become a Plague Marine. You get access to the Discord, giveaways, etc. Vote on future content. It's quite an active Discord. It's quite cute. Cute. That was the wrong word.
And then, so if people want to find it, they want to search for.
So yeah, basically the Discord. If you become a member, on the community tab on the YouTube channel, there is a link that is pinned to the top. You just click that and you'll be straight in. So yeah. We obviously, do you want to do it? I'll let you do the shout out for our old team.
Yeah, oh, sorry, there's one more thing, so I'll let you guys do your Vanguard tactics stuff as well, don't worry. But I just realised we've talked about this previously and people listening won't know at home. With Dave coming on board as well, we've agreed a fortnightly record time for these podcasts, which are going to start going up on Spotify and things as well for you listeners. So we're going to have more regular content like this. Every Tuesday at 7:30 we're going to be recording, and then we'll try and get them out within the next couple of days afterwards. So fortnightly podcasts, and then obviously the live streams, solo series, and other things that happen reactively, like when the Banner's Dataslate comes out. Hopefully it'll be all three of us, but if not, whoever's online that evening, we'll do like a live stream breaking it down. So just loads more coming, guys, and I'll hand it over to you guys to the sign off, and you can do all your Vanguard tactics plugs and stuff.
Yeah, so I think just from my side, both Aiden and I play for Vanguard Tactics. If anyone listening to this podcast is brand new and you want to kind of get a better handle on how to play the game, the basics, not only can you obviously listen to some of the bits Aiden's talking about as to how to get on with Death Guard particularly, but Vanguard Tactics is a great place to kind of learn how to play the game. Jump onto their channel, just search Vanguard Tactics in YouTube. You can find really kind of well explained, straightforward games. There's an academy where you can actually learn to play 40k, and there's courses which once you sign up to it, you get that content for life. You join a great Discord as well. and it's a really good community. I mean, the reason I play for them, and I hope Aiden would say the same, is it's not a meta chasing, win at all costs, kick your opponent, grind them into the ground kind of group. Its number one thing is about sportsmanship and having a good game of 40k. And if that's what you like, then you'd get on well with those guys.
The only thing that would make it better is if we had an affiliate link. Oh, look at this! Look at this. That is definitely like not a physical thing, and it's probably in the description. Oh my god, quick, everyone, let's scroll down, check the description. What's that? Oh, it's an affiliate link. If you click that, oh, look at that. Discount.
almost like it was rehearsed.
Unbelievable.
Right, guys, well, I'm going to sign off there. So thanks for listening, and look forward to catching you soon, guys. Proxmoor could play me up soon. Another one of these podcasts with three of us fortnightly, and then Aiden obviously do the announcements and things on Facebook for the solo series. But bye from me, and I'll let you guys finish off.
Yep, it's bye from me too. Thanks, guys, and really pleased to be on board.
Yeah, welcome to have you, Dave. So stay rotten, everyone, as usual, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Laters.